Hello dears, this is my 108th video that I've already developed and uploaded on my YouTube channel. This video is the continuation of the first video. That means the video number 107. It talks about cooperative training. In the first video I presented for you a lesson about what cooperative training means, the importance of cooperative training, the parties that participate in cooperative training, and also the responsibility of cooperative training or participants of cooperative training, and also the benefits of cooperative training to each parties. Now I'm going to present about steps in cooperative training. So I would like you to stay with me till we complete this discussion or this lesson. All right, my name is Yadesa Tolosa and I'm consultant, researcher and trainer. So that if you have any kind of inquiry or questions, or if you have even some comments that you would like to give me, it is welcome. Now let me move to presenting the lessons in detail. Well, the first one is steps in cooperative training. There are about 7 steps that you should follow in order to implement cooperative training. The first one is planning cooperative training. What does planning means? We will see that. The second one is signing of training agreement or signing MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. The third one is establishing cooperative training sites. The fourth one is assigning training coordinator. And the fifth steps is monitoring the training progress, and the sixth one is inspecting cooperative training sites, and the last but not the least one is dealing with occupational assessment. What do they mean? We'll see them in detail. The first one is planning cooperative training. What does planning cooperative training means? Before starting a cooperative training program, enterprise and chief institute should negotiate and agree on types of occupations in demand and jointly develop a training plan right from the occupational standard or from curriculum derived from this. This means now who is going to implement cooperative training? We have said that training institutions or training providers and employers or industries. The industry and the training institutions should sit together and plan what they are going to do, what they are going to train, or the contents of the lessons that are going to train. In what way? The way curriculum should be developed. What the content of the curricula should comprise of. Then a training plan shows topics of the curriculum to be taught either in enterprise or in TVET institutions. Yeah, whenever you talk about training, there should be curriculum. Curriculum should be there. Curriculum, when you say in training institutions, that is the training institutions curriculum. When you talk about cooperative training, there is a cooperative training, a curriculum specifically designed for implementing cooperative training. Yeah. Therefore, this curricula which we are going to implement in cooperative training should be developed dually. That means by both training institutions and companies together. Training institutions say the teachers from the schools and also the workers from the company sit down and design and develop the curriculum. Another issue that should be considered when you talk about planning cooperative training is the curriculum development process. That means teachers at the TVET institution should invite relevant experts from companies to take part. Yeah, the initiation should be from the training institution, by the way. When you talk about cooperative, it is the TVET institutions or schools and the employers or the industry that come together. The industry does not take the initiation. It is the teaching institutions that should take initiation. Even though they do together, they work together, the initiation should be taken. Or the leading role should be taken by the institutions, not by the company or the employers. Accordingly, this training plan forms an integral part of the curriculum maintained both at training institutions and as its. By the way, whenever, leave alone for cooperative training, even in the formal way, in the traditional way, when you talk about vocational training curriculum that are going to be implemented in training institutions. And another issue that should be seen is when you talk about planning is according this training plan forms an integral part of the curriculum maintained both at the training institutions and at the companies. Yeah, so as I've said, this training program should be also implemented in the company. By the way, where we talk about training program in general for vocational educational training, the curriculum should be developed not only by teachers but also together with the companies, because the companies or the working industries bring forth their practice, and also in the training institutions bring forward the theoretical part. So the theory and the practice, in order to the students to get full-fledged materials or instruction, it is better to develop the curriculum together. That is all that it talks about. Another issue is, or the second one, when you talk about steps in cooperative training, is signing the training agreement. Yeah, a memorandum of understanding is a major reference document showing every role and responsibility of partners in cooperative training. Whenever you talk about cooperative training, cooperative in general, there should be a kind of agreement. Because there should be abiding rule, abiding regulations. Unless otherwise, one can't work together. Whenever there is a kind of consortium, a kind of working together, a kind of cooperative, there should be a kind of what you call it agreement forms that should be signed at least. That's what you call it MOU. So MOU should be signed among the parties that are going to implement cooperative training. Those parties are specifically to the training institutions and the employers or the industry for that matter. Therefore, this document has to be signed by representative or top management of the enterprise and TV college and kept at both places at regular reference. Yeah. By the way, from our experience, what I've seen is not only signing MOU, but also following up. The big problem, specifically in developing countries, not signing MOU, but following or monitoring or implementing it, in placing it. That is a big problem. So when we talk about signed, there is certain responsibilities that are put in the document, yeah? That should be in place, that should be implemented, that should be realized. So in order to realize, there should be a kind of monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. So everything, the document by itself is nothing unless otherwise it's implemented, unless it is in place, unless otherwise it is taken to reality or practiced. The third steps, when you talk about steps in cooperative training, is content of MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. The content should have name and address of involved parties, that means TV institution, enterprise, students, teachers. And another issue that should be put there, the content that should be put there is nature of cooperative training. And it should also comprise of occupational area and duration. It should also consist date and duration of training, expected outcome, responsibilities of each party, and signature, monitoring and evaluation. These are some of the issues that should be considered when we talk about MOU. Another issue that should be considered when you talk about steps in cooperative training is establishing cooperative training sites. Yeah, cooperative training needs two venues. Venue, when you say places, the place where training takes place. One at TVET institutions and one at enterprise. Why? The reason is in TVET institutions, the theory should be given there. It is the place where theoretical knowledge is gained. Enterprise, the place where practice is done, real world work. Okay, let me give you one example. For example, when you talk about in my country, for instance, in Ethiopia, there is one experience. That is a kind of cooperative established about 10 years back between TVET institutions and Ethiopian Airlines. Ethiopian Airlines is one of the famous airlines or airways in Africa, by the way. So what they did was they signed memorandum of understanding so that the trainees are recruited by TVET institutions, and those trainees take theoretical knowledge or theoretical lessons or education or in college, and then regarding the practice, they go to the Ethiopian Airlines or Ethiopian Airlines and do practice there. That means they observe and also practice. As a result of that, because of that, really there is tremendous gains that were found. That is what we experienced. So the reason why I raised this issue is when we talk about cooperative training, there are two venues, the place where training takes place. That is true. When we talk about TVET institutions, there are teachers there. The teachers are adept more in theory than in practice. When we see company, the company is highly adept in practice when compared with the teachers, with the TVET institutions, than the knowledge they do have. So together they become complete. Or complete entity for that matter. Another issue is these two venues must be secured and assigned for the program by both parties. Remember, cooperative training cannot be done at one site only. If you do it or attempt to implement cooperative training only in schools or vocational education centers or only in company, it does not succeed. That means this is not a real cooperative training, mind you. When you talk about cooperative, there is a mutual understanding, there is a mutual benefit. We have to first of all agree on the mutual benefits that we have. Mutual benefits is saying not only the benefits that the institutes and the company have, but also the world, the community at large. When you talk about Ethiopia, for example, we have to think the Ethiopian community in general, not only the benefits that the company gets or not only the benefits that the institute gets. We have to think worldwide. If we can't think of worldwide, we have to think locally, we have to think environmentally, we have to think from the community perspective at large. So the benefit should be seen there. That's why the government should attempt or should work on implementing cooperative training. It is the government's mandatory in order to implement cooperative training at TVET institutes or in the country for that matter. Another issue when we talk about steps in cooperative training is assigning training coordinators. Yeah, that should be coordinator from the TVET institution as well as from the company as well. Both parties must assign responsible coordinators for the program. A teacher for the speak occupation can be coordinator from the TVET institutions, and an experienced staff member from the enterprise is a related occupation must be assigned as a supervisor or coordinator from, that should be a kind of coordinator for that matter. Another issue is the company's training coordinator has to have a certification of successful assessment for the relevant occupation. The reason why this is mentioned is that is what we call it occupational assessment. One, in order to provide training from the company, he or she should be assessed and be certified. For example, if one has to teach automotive, training in automotive field of study, he or she should be assessed and certified. He must be a certified worker. Certified when it says there is certain requirements that are expected from the coordinator. So the coordinator should be taught, of course, it's not from the scratch that is going, he or she is going to be assessed, but first he or she should be taught or trained and then assessed so that he or she becomes a certified coordinator. The sixth step in cooperative training is monitoring the training progress. Monitoring is very important. One thing I always believe is whenever work is done, there should be monitoring and evaluation there. A work which is planned and attempted to be implemented without monitoring and evaluation program inclusion, it is imminent or inevitable to fail. Monitoring and evaluation is very important part of work, or it's a part of management for the matter. We plan something, We attempt to implement it. When we attempt to implement it, there should be monitoring and evaluation should be inclusive. The same goes through when we talk about cooperative training. So monitoring students' enterprise record will be necessary to determine training program. This should be a balance between periodic formal performance reviews by the vocational counselor, TVET teacher, and informal daily observation and feedback from the enterprise trainer, and also assessment of trainees during the training program is held in enterprises and TVET instruction by enterprise trainers and TVET teachers. So anyways, there should be monitoring and evaluation system in place there. Another issue which we should consider when you talk about cooperative training is the 7 steps, that is inspecting cooperative training sites. Based on the agreement cited in the MOU, responsible bodies from the TVET institutes have to make a regular visit to the sites. Yeah, of course, inspecting, when you say it, is a part of monitoring. Of course, supervision, for example, supervision is very important, inspecting is very important. This inspecting is very important in order to make the movement or the implementation to get it into a good track. So inspecting is very important in order to adjust maladjustments. The main purpose of this visit is to make sure that all practical training activities are provided regarding the signed according to the memorandum for understanding. If the outcome of the observation is lower than expected, a meeting attended by all involved parties, that means companies, students, and TVET institution, has to be scheduled. Yeah, if there is something maladjustment, there should be a kind of discussion so that discuss on how it should be adjusted, how wrong those who went wrong come to appropriate track or the right track. So there should be a kind of measures that should be taken. Otherwise, the cooperative training activities have to be cancelled. Yeah, here, of course, this measure is not good measure for the matter, but unless otherwise, if there is something wrong, it should be brought to track. It should be brought to the line. Unless otherwise, it should be cancelled, and the company can no longer be a cooperative training party. So all this should be put in memorandum of understanding for that matter. So the memorandum of understanding should consist everything is abiding regulations and also rules that both parties or 3 parties should follow. The last one, but not the least, is occupational assessment. Yeah, when we talk about competency-based training approach, there are about 2 main things that we should mention or know about. The first one is occupational standard. Occupational standard is nothing but it is the criteria that shows the key knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are required in order to perform occupation. The second part that we should know when we talk about competency-based training is occupational assessment. Occupational assessment is nothing. It is one of the features in competency-based training approach. That is, the trainees, after they graduate or after they complete lessons or training, should be assessed so that they have to be identified if they are competent enough or not yet competent enough to perform those specific tasks that are required or that are put in occupational standards. So, occupational assessment should be there. Ultimately, the quality of cooperative training is assured by national occupational assessment. When you talk about occupational assessment, it should be nationwide. Of course, there might be organizational-based occupational assessment or local-based occupational assessment. But when you talk from the nationwide, it should be a national occupational assessment. This national occupational assessment should be developed by industry and teachers together based on the occupational standard and curriculum developed by industry and the training institutions for that matter. The occupational assessment is a tool used for anyone, regardless of participating in cooperative training, who feels that he or she has the necessary skills to be considered proficient in that occupation. Continuous assessments are done both at TVET institution by teachers and supervised by the trainer. Yeah. When you talk about assessment, it is not only summative assessment. There should be also a kind of assessment which we call it formative. That means continuous assessment should be in place also. Another issue that we consider when we talk about occupational assessment is it is believed that the majority of the trainees having undergone cooperative training should pass the assessment because they have experienced real experiences, competency required in the occupation. Yeah. If really cooperative training is in place accordingly, properly, based on the occupation standard, based on what is put in the memorandum of understanding, I tell you, I witness that almost all the students will pass the examination, all will pass the assessment, all will be competent enough to in the world of work. If, what did I say? If only if the work is done properly, if the cooperative training is in place properly. Another issue what we should talk when we talk about cooperative training is requirement for student participation. Yeah, students should participate. Enrollment of trainees in cooperative training should be made by TVET institutions. As we have said, trainees are expected to abide by rules and regulations issued by both parties. Students as well as the parents have to be informed about their responsibility as a part-time employee. Yeah. When we talk about committee, when we talk about education in general and training in particular, the student should take responsibility, the parents should take responsibility, the institutions should take responsibility, the company should take responsibility. Each of them have their own responsibility and roles. Consequences will be faced in case of an accident, bad behavior, not acting according to the company's rules. So the student should abide the rule. Another issue is the student has to sign a MOU. Yeah. Another issue which is overlooked most of the time is getting the students assigned, signing the memorandum of understanding. By the way, students should sign also. Sign also means they have to know what to do. They have to know what their responsibilities is. They have to know what their right is, and also what their obligations are, so that finally everything will be safe. Everything will be safe. So these things should be done as much as possible when if we want cooperative training to be implemented properly. There is something that I wanted to share with you. I'm going to give you a kind of tip. This tip is being competent. What does being competent means? Let me begin from knowing how to do a job. Now, if you know how to do a specific job, it is one of the criteria to lead you to become competent. Another issue is understanding workplace policies and procedures. Yeah, one competent worker, competent man should know, or woman should know or understand the policies and procedures of a specific company. Another is fitting in with others in the workplace. Yeah, there should be a kind of knowledge and competence that should have working with others or communicating with others. And also we have to deal with everyday problem that may occur. Yeah, contingency management should be there. One, in order to be competent enough, in order to be said competent enough, understanding why it should be done that way. Yeah, why in companies there are different way of doing something. Yeah, there are different way of doing one thing. Why one company do it in that way, the other company do it in the other way. So as a competent worker, he or she should know the reason why it is done that way. Another issue when we talk about being competent means is another criteria that one should fulfill is or expect from him or her is being able to apply skills consistently. Yeah, that means one should not be adept or active today and inactive tomorrow. No, consistently you have to active enough. Whenever you do something, Whenever, for example, if you make a chair, you have to make a chair every time. You should not be competent enough today and after 2 or 3 years non-competent. No, it is because of this that competent assessment should be given for workers every 2 or 3 years. It does not mean once you become competent enough, it lasts with you, unless otherwise you exercise it or maintain it. Another issue when you talk about being competent is being able to transfer skills to different situations. Yeah, that means acting accordingly. Acting according to real situations or job role environment. Whenever you change the environment and the working situations, it does not matter. You have to be competent enough. Competent enough, regardless of the place where you are assigned, regardless of the workplace you are assigned. Being able to do different tasks at the same time. Yeah, this is what you call it working something at the same time. Yeah, there are different, some people do 2 or 3 things at the same time. Yeah, you should not necessarily do one thing and wait till you complete that in order to go or move on to another work. No, there are some works that should be done parallelly. So in order you to be said competent enough, you should be able to do different tasks at the same time also. Oh, thank you very much. My video 107 and my video 108 were about cooperative training. Till we will meet or see in another videos, that means 109 and the other, I would like to say bye-bye. But before I say bye-bye, please subscribe if you are new for this video so that other videos can reach you easily, or share this video for others as well. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.